so.
David and housekeeping, awesome Jeff.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I am Jeff Doss, and I am excited to see all of you guys. Let us know who's watching, share, tag, bring everybody in, and join the Scoop, man. We're having a great show today as we, again, had a big weekend. Everyone did. Hope everyone happy Easter to everybody. It's Easter Monday, and we have a big weekend coming up as Ocean State Grand Nationals is finally here. And a lot to talk about and to prepare for this great event. So it's going to be exciting, man. Going to be a great one. So share, guys. Let everybody know what's going on. If you haven't shared the show yet, click it, put it in your favorite group.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking about this yesterday when you text me and you said Happy Easter.
Yeah.
And I texted you back and I said, Buona Pasqua. And you were like, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. I audibly, I was just looking at my phone. I'm on the couch and I audibly just laughed out loud, like pretty loud. And this is like, what the heck? I'm like, no.
Yeah, because I actually thought you were saying something else. Oh, yeah. Because we were talking about where to go eat it in Rhode Island, Crow's Nest.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. See, I can't say that's the best, but that's the best I've ever had. That's the best. That might be the best seafood I've ever had. Definitely the best New England. All right. And when I asked other people about it, locals were like, "That's the bomb. That's the bomb."
Yeah.
So I experienced it. I thought it was the bomb.com. Other people were telling me to go, and it lived up to the hype and beyond. They have a 3-pound lobster stuffed.
I don't think I could do that, man. I don't know if I'd be able to compete Friday, if I ate that Thursday.
This is definitely an after Saturday thing.
Yeah. I'm going to go there.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
You just said it right there. That's the challenge with going to events like this. And you're like, hey, let's go somewhere nice to eat. And you get something like that. And you're like, if I eat that on Friday, I can never compete on Saturday. And you're like, oh, don't worry about it. Have it on Saturday. But then there's this tiny little window of time where maybe you could do that. But then if you're a successful competitor.
Yeah, you didn't come there. You came to win the grand championship. That's what
now, or you can't do that. Okay, that's no problem. I'll have it later. What is later? Because everybody's getting back on the same plane-ish time frame, right? And it's like, so wouldn't it be nice? Maybe now that I'm saying this out loud, what if a tournament was like, you know what? I hear all the problems everyone's having. What if we get 4, 5, 6, 7 local restaurants? We come in here, the tournament, talk about a sponsorship, right?
There you go.
Let's do this. Nobody can really leave and go there because we understand the nature of this kind of competition. Everyone's kind of captive in this bubble. Let's bring this local, awesome food that we have to this bubble, and look what you get to experience now. Look at this. I'm just dropping these awesome $1 million ideas out to you guys.
It could work, except for usually the catering and the food and beverage for the hotel has that lockdown. So sorry for
like food truck outside
or convention center. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, I mean food trucks is the way to go, man. So all right, guys. So we got Ocean State Grand Nationals this weekend. It's going to be amazing. Yep, Brett says food trucks. Got to get those in. And I tell you what, man, this is always a favorite event. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Drew.
Yeah, DDB.
a favorite event, but let's share. We have a lot to talk about leading to this event.
Yeah.
And one of the things, of course, right now, we love every year who's going to be the Final Four, who's going to be that top 8, who's going to be there this year. A lot of times we don't know, necessarily who's going to be there, right? But we have a good idea right now for the top competitors, at least on the men's side. The women's side, sometimes it's a little harder to figure out who's going to be there. Everybody's, doing a little bit different, So let's share the men's side. And all right, so we know, let's just think teams. So we got Revolution that has Mason, Martin, and Demetrios, right there. Now we have JPM, so we have, let's say Cam. I mean, we're saying all these people if they're healthy, right? So
if they're healthy, on the
Alex,
active roster and at the tournament.
We got Enrique, we got Jason, we got Christian. I think
Alex.
Sebastian would be there. Yeah, I already said Alex. Yeah, I already said Alex. And then we also have, who else was going to be there? Like there are some people sometimes that show up. Sorry, I just got a text of someone sending a picture of them from the Crow's Nest from last year. It's great. All right.
Good spot though. Did they look food drunk? Because you can get food drunk at that place.
Yeah. So we're talking about that. If we're missing by on the JPM side, let us know. We also
potentially could have 2 full teams. They probably won't. They'll probably just do 1 team. But I mean, it's a possibility that JPM could field 2 teams.
And then we also have, Bailey. We have the top 10 guys, Tyreek. We haven't really, I don't think we've seen him this year. We're going to have Trey. We're going to have, let's see, Tyler, I think is his name. We have all these guys that are just fresh moving up. We got Ibby, all these guys that are fresh moving up that are, I would think maybe we'll have Kevin Walker, right? So we have that there. Who are we having from K-Talk, or will we have Hunter? Will those guys be that? Is Avery going to be? I don't know if Avery is healthy yet. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. I didn't hear much out, after Warrior Cup, but we would love to have him.
I think that's the biggest wild card is K-Talk, because Avery Plowden, he is the champ. He's the biggest. Like, if he's there, like, all right. Like, it immediately has been like, okay, well, I mean, they might win the men's team fighting. All right. We watched him not just this past year, but the year before, single-handedly, like, take his team winning. I think it was the Diamonds in 24, right? Where his team was pretty good, but he was so far. He was having a worldly like performance where he's just like, we're gonna make it to the finals, and he almost did, right? And I hate to say like by himself, but if you guys are doing well and you leave it up to him, and then he lights it up, like, he's giving you. If you give him, like, you get at least close, and he can take care of it every single time. Like, he's that kind of guy. So. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested if D will be there. I don't know. We're also talking about. We also have guys from Next Level. So we're talking about Tyson, right?
That is who I really want to see.
I mean, I want to see those guys. What about of course, we got Straight Up. We have Brandon. We have Ryan, who is continually to get better. Every time he's showing up and he's staying active. Yep. Last year we saw a lot of the Canadians with Sam's group and Coach Conroy's. So you have Dwayne, who won the heavyweight overall last year. He's been super active on Waco and doing great. So we're going to see him most likely, I would think, right?
Dwayne Morin and Mason Bumba have quite a few similarities.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. So I mean, man, it's going to be exciting. Are we going to see the return of oh man, how I just missed his name from Germany that has been the last 2 years with the long leg.
Oh,
Huge.
Demetrios.
No.
What
Sandros.
world?
Sandros.
Was the
Peters.
O's. Was the O's
Yeah.
the guy?
Yeah. So, are we going to see him? Right. What about? Here's another one. Are we forgetting? Because we saw a solid team at AKA from Legend. You know, will those guys be back? You know, Coca was back. Oscar was back, and they also had guy from Scotland. I just forget his name. Yeah, there's just a lot right now. There are so many.
Pick up what we're throwing down, insiders. Come on.
Help us out. Most of the time, if I say something, someone's got, help me. But there's so many, like, just listen to that. Like, we just listed 20 something fighters that could be in the top. Yeah, Dean, thank you. Dean, 20 fighters that could be in the top 8. You know what I mean? That's
Not
crazy,
there.
right? Yeah, and I mean, it's wild, right? So, I mean, of course, Bailey wasn't in the top 8 last year.
Yeah.
I mean, so, but then he went and won he won the overall, the lightweight overall. So, I mean, it's wild, man, how all this is going to be. It's going to be fun. I'm glad they're starting the women's early. They're going right into the men's. They're doing, I know if you haven't checked out yet, check Christine's page and the Ocean State page. They put out several videos explaining, how everything's going to be set up. So yeah, man, it's, the fighting side is going to be insane. The women's side, again, we have Katarina, we have Katana, we have Savannah, who continues to grow and improve, right? And seeing her with her new team is going to be interesting, right? So who else will be there? That's the thing. Who is going to step in? This tournament, like David said last week, this is, closer to them than Toronto is. You know what I mean? So you're going to see some of those guys like Karina. We see every year this tournament, and she kills it, right? So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. Yeah, and Canadians will represent. There he is. There's the lobster guy. And
that was John who said.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say that, but he should just post it right in the comments.
You should.
Right.
Is it big?
Yeah. He said. So Brett said, "I'm excited to see the senior open weight." I agree, man. So I hear senior open weight. What are the first names you think of? Kevin Walker would be one, and I think El Java is someone else.
Java.
Think of, right?
See, here's the thing. The problem, it's not a problem. It's just the situation with the 40 plus fighters now is the 40 plus fighters now are more talented, like skill wise than that group has ever been. Because, and I was actually chatting with Jamon Wiggins about this, is because that group, all of them were kids when they were taking karate lessons. Like they all started when they were were kids. So they've all been doing it for over 30 years, 35 years, maybe. All right. So now when they've been doing this for 35 years, they've got all the skill level, and they really believe, like, why wouldn't you believe that you could do all of these physically crazy things because you've done them? But your body's also plus 40 years old. So it's the recovery time. Can you do that? And then because it didn't land or it didn't score, do you now have the reaction time to be able to go, oh no, I got to jump back. Maybe it's just a jump back fist, maybe, but and the problem is the skill level will be sky high, but the likely for injury because you're doing those skills are going to be pretty high too. So it was like a few tournaments back. I think it was a couple years ago. We're watching Willie Hicks and Jamon Wiggins. I just mentioned his name, so maybe that was the reason why. And they were going in fighting each other. And that fight did not go the distance because both of them got nicked up and could not continue because of that fight. And I'm like, look at that craziness, right?
Yeah.
If that match happened 10 years prior, it would have been like, where are all the cameras? All the cameras need to be here, right? Because they both have that level of skill, but it didn't go the distance because they're both in their mid-40s, you know?
Right.
Like
Right.
they've destroyed their ligaments, their joints.
Early 40s. All right. Early 40s. Jeez, don't chill out, man. Chill out. Stop trying to make us older than we are. All right.
My bad. What's mid? All right. There's three tiers. Early, mid, late. All right. They ain't 47, 48, you know?
No, they're 40, 42, 43. So yeah.
Whatever. All right. I'm the only old guy. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, Jamar and I are pretty much the same age. So
and I'm gonna, is it Tabitha? Yeah, Tabitha's right. So what she's mentioning is somebody else is gonna end up in they're in the 30 plus now. But that's the thing, is then every single event like this, and you go, oh wait, you're in the 30 plus now? Wait, what? All right. And that happens all the time because you're so used to seeing them win an overall, or you're so used to seeing them compete for a grand championship in 18 plus. And then all of a sudden you look up and you realize, wait, you're in the 40s, because when they were in their 30s, they were competing 18 plus. And then it seems like a cheat code when they're competing in 40 plus. You know what I mean?
Correct. Yeah. Oh, I know.
That's kind of you, Jeff. You are the cheat code.
There's a lot of us. Yeah. I think right now our crew that is competing in the 30s and the 40s, I think it's kind of not fair in a lot of ways, because we're all that, you know what I mean? Like, all of us have been doing this since we've been my age. You know, we're looking at someone like Tim Conkle, myself, Sam, you know, Kevin Kowalczyk. All of us have been doing this since the 90s, right? And we haven't stopped. Most of us haven't stopped, you know.
Or before that.
You know, Eric Tremblay, you know, all we just keep going and keep going. Brett Thomason, you know, Brett Shumway is he took a little break, but he stayed in martial arts the whole time, you know, as well. Right. So it's like, man, all of us are just we've been old school when we were kids, you know what I mean? Like like, I still joke about, you know what, like, people were telling me I still got it when I was 21, you know, like, what the heck? Or 20.
You
like,
still got it, man. You're still hanging on there for us old guys.
Yo, I'm only 20. I'm 21. What the heck? Yeah. So, I mean, it's wild, right? How we've been into it, you know, forever. So, yeah, I agree. Right now, everyone can make a name for himself, but really push the level, you know, and that's why it's fun. I mean, honestly, I have a hard time every tournament figuring out which group I want to be in, you know, like right now, you know, it all depends how Korean Challenge goes. Then I go from there. What I'll do on Saturday. Will I do 30 plus Korean? Will I do 18 plus Korean? Who knows? Right. So
can you, the way the registration goes, can you just like do that back and forth? Or you just register for all of them and figure it out?
No. I can't do all of them. That's against the rule. But I can just say, hey, I won't register until after Friday to decide. Or I can be like, hey, I actually needed to do this one, you know. But I have to add it. So a lot of times it just kind of depends on really it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this one division and then I'll decide what I'm gonna do Saturday after it.
So. Which is also more old school, because how many guys, they're talking about the 90s, would do a form division and go, damn it, that did not go at all how I was thinking. You know what? I'm going to go do weapons. All right, let me go sign up right now. Right? Didn't they do that?
I did that at Capital Classics last year. All right. Because I did my form and I didn't have to do much and I dropped. All right. And then I was like, all right, I'm doing musical. And so I was found a way, but you know what? And what's funny is that if you're already registered and you can just go online, do it, add it, and make sure it's all good and boom. But yeah,
That is the
so
part
was,
that's really helpful and useful, because with the rest of us, it would just be like just anger, just seething, like I had
yeah,
that. And then
yeah,
now it's like a mad dash. All right, if you can hurry up and do it, register and get back with your competition card. All right.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
you'd have to run to registration. Right. Here's $40 or whatever it is. You get it, give me the card, and then you run back and you see this kid sprinting across. We all knew what that was. Right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I did so many times, especially in NBL, man. I mean, I
Oh,
told
there's
you
so
the
many other
story.
divisions you could do that.
Yeah, so many divisions, and be like, man, I didn't make the. And it's, all right, I've shared this story as well, as where I did a bunch of divisions at Spartanburg, is the Great Southeast, right?
Okay.
And 2001, it was a really big regional tournament where, we had all of CJB, all of SES there. We had one of the other main, Team Focus, a lot of the other big NBL teams that were out there. You had John Sue there, Casey Mars, all the different people there, right?
Big
and
freaking.
it was a big tournament. And the thing is, like, my divisions had maybe 6 people, but all 6 of us won a first place. You know what I mean? Like that's how crazy it was, right? So
Yeah.
I'm getting into my 8th division. I haven't won anything. And I'm like, all right, maybe, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to add sign in and do soft style. I went and did soft style, won, which gave him momentum to, hey, I still have creative as my last division. All right. No music. And I went and won that. So that created me some momentum to win, when really I did not do good that tournament. If you look at the grand scheme of things, I did like 9-10 divisions. I lost like all of them until the last 2, right? And then after that, I won the grand. And so it was just like, you just never know where that momentum is going to come from, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of wild on that.
Well, now I gotta know, what form did you do in the grand, man?
I did intergalactic. Yeah.
So you did the creative.
I did the creative for me.
Because it was at that time where you could, as long as you won something, it got you in, then you basically did your musical form.
Basically, yeah. And it wasn't creative back then. In 2001, it was creative just meant no music. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
It was
open.
It was open. It was, yeah. So yeah. All right. While we're on this, I want to go ahead and switch gears just for a second and talk about, and then we'll get back into Ocean State. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we also got some creative regional events that happened over the weekend, and some other things that we need to shout out some people about. But let's, again, another big tournament coming up, Quebec Open, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 2026. Amazing event. One of the best just overall events that you're going to go to in your lifetime. If you haven't hit the Quebec Open, this is the time to do it. All right. I've done both ways. I've flew there. I've driven there. I flew somewhere and then drove over there. So, I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to make it happen. I know I was talking to Jared Liker, and he said he's done like 4 different ways of like, let's see if we fly into this state and then drive this way, and then just for a different experience, right? So what way are you guys? It is sorry,
April.
I didn't put April in there, my bad. April 2024, my bad. So yeah,
GDB is trying to make a comeback for Quebec.
Yo, he's been out there,
speaking into existence.
Competing. Are we gonna see you this weekend, DDB? I know you've been competing the past 2 tournaments. So yeah, so April, guys, it's going to be a great one. All right. How many times have you been to Quebec? Have you been before?
Never been.
Oh,
I've never been to Quebec.
That's one tournament.
There's only like a handful of tournaments that I've never done.
It's crazy.
Quebec is one of them. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, that was one. I think you just
there's
need to
any
go.
other. I don't think there's any other active tournaments that I've never.
Cowboy Up, you haven't been to, right?
Cowboy Up, I have not done.
Yeah, that's the same thing with me.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem. I actually was going to do Cowboy. I was thinking about doing Cowboy Up, and I can't remember who emailed me and was like, "Hey, we'd love to have you come, and then you could do yada da da and da da d." And I'm like, "All right, I'm in. When is it?" And it was like on the weekend of like Lindsay's birthday, and I'm like, "That is not gonna happen."
Yeah, I know it's difficult, man. So yeah, Quebec, man, it's going to be an amazing event. You know, they were sharing how, you know, they got the underbelt open rank, an open weight. They got the teams, you know, the 2-person junior teams, you know, and everything that they're doing each and every year just continues to push themselves, right? So to push themselves, that's what they do. You know what I mean? And what's cool is that, like David talked about last week, Clermont took this thing to a crazy level. And now you have these competitors that were influenced by him, but also by this tournament, right? I mean, of course, David and Sam grew up under that system. But then you also have Claire, who, you know, married in that system, you know, Kayla, same thing, both of them, you know, and they went to this event and it was a huge event for them, right? And I mean, I don't know how many times Claire probably won this tournament, you know, it's wild, you know, so really a cool event and lots of fun. Yeah. It starts the 23rd with all the seminars, Mark. That's why David really wanted me to push that. And they have some amazing seminars this year. So with Esteban and Casey and Bailey and some amazing self-defense seminars as well. So go check that out, guys. And we're going to be talking about that more as we're leading into, you know, just a creative year, right?
Yeah.
My focus, our focus, is creativity leading the way towards Ocean States, right? So this weekend, and we had some ideas, a different topic about creative forums, about creative tournaments, about creative things that promoters, leagues should be doing, right? So before we talk about creativity, I want you guys to give your shout out to your favorite traditional karate competitors from the weekend, right? So for anyone who doesn't know, this weekend was a really big weekend for traditional karate, all right? As there was the USA Open in Fort Worth and the Junior International Championships. That was in Fort Worth for USA Karate. Also, the AAU and the WUKF had their big North American Open in Vegas, all right, this weekend. So if you went to this event, shout out how you did. If your teammates went out there, if you were out there, if your friends, whoever, shout them out, guys. Let us know how everyone did in either Vegas or Fort Worth. You know, I know we had a lot of competitors out there competing, you know, Maddie Kenaway, Emerson Cottingham, you know, Mason was out there. I don't know if he was competing. I know he was coaching. Yeah. You know, Amanda Duarte, Reagan Campbell, man, there's so many, Quinlan. There was a lot of competitors out there from Sport Karate. They're out there and doing really good medaling. Okay. Nora Potter, shout out Team Army Strong. Yeah, a lot of those girls did an amazing job with gold medals and also in just medaling, right? So amazing for everyone out there. I know that Amber Rutherford was out in Vegas. I know she got 2 golds. I know Jenica Griddle's got a gold. I know Noah Thomas was out there. So, yeah, man, I don't know all of those results, but I do want to shout out that, you know, Easter weekend is always it's crazy that they have 2 of their biggest tournaments of the year during that weekend, you know?
It is a little bananas. You think about it, like another weekend, maybe, you know, it was so funny. There was an Easter weekend because, I mean, it is a holiday where you're like, of all holidays, we should acknowledge this one. And it was so funny is one time National Karate had a black belt exam on Good Friday.
Yeah.
It was one time. And then I'm like, someone was like, you would think Mr. Worley would be like, maybe next week. And I'm like, hey, I would do that too.
Yeah.
But I also have never led a multi-million-dollar, multi-school martial arts organization before. So Hey,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't do that, but at the same time, I don't have the the leg up to say anything here.
Congrats to Vanessa and Veronica. Good job there, Sam. Yep. So we had that going on. That was in Vegas and Fort Worth, and we also have the Austin Open. That was a Pro Mac event, and then we had Reed's tournament, Scenic City Open in Tennessee. So both of those great events seem like successful for both of those people. So, and I tell you what, man, for both of those promoters, creative regional events, all right. And we've talked about this a lot, right? And I think at this point, you got to be creative. One, because there are so many events right now, right? And I was talking to another promoter today, and it's just, man, there's just an event every weekend. And the thing is, the level is getting better. We all are having to push ourselves. So people were like, hey, I want to go to this event. It's not just, hey, there's a tournament, come in it, hey, or it's local, it's close. But what are they doing? What are they giving? What's different about this event? Is it organized? And at some point when everything becomes so good, like meaning like, hey, I know what to expect, that's a good thing, but also it can also get a little boring too. So you have to figure out how to amp it up a bit, right?
Correct.
So what are some creative things that you really enjoy? This weekend, let's just share, some of the creative things that like the Molinas were doing there, just some of their prizes they gave out, definitely were fun, skateboards and AirPods and all this stuff that they're giving for prizes, which are great, right? Also, the seminars that Reed does for people that are brand new competitors, like new competitors, that is a great creative thing to not only help him in his event, but the sport in general, right? So both of them, and I know Andy does things like that as well too. The Molinas do as well. So both of these not just want to help their tournament and their leagues, but the sport overall. So that's a creative thing. If you guys have some creative regional events, maybe it's an award someone's giving, maybe it's a division, shout it out right now. Right. I know for me, you know what, the gumball machines are something that, I know that people are excited about. I've done creative type divisions in the past, so for the Grand Slam Open, we're doing the challenges, the Japanese, the Korean, for the 18 plus, we're amping it up a bit. You got to do 3 different forms. Okay. For the juniors, we're going to do it the same way we've been doing in NASCA. So we're going to, amp it up a bit, here we go. Freedom Cup, Martial Arts Championship, the Path to Freedom division with black belts competing with a basic kata and having a fan vote. So that was cool. So that was something that I did years ago and I call it Traditional Foundation. That was the name of the division, Traditional Foundation. But having the fan vote is a cool part of that. That's really awesome. Yeah. Yeah, Drew remembers when I used to do that. That's awesome. A division where the black belts competed with a basic form was a big hit. And I tell you, man, it's doing things like that are really cool. There's several ITF tournaments that do it. Do the Chunji division, and
man,
everybody just does that same form no matter what. We've even when I do like inter-school tournaments, we always do that. We do a Chunji division, and then we do the Taikyoku division because we do Shotokan as well. So, and I have everybody do it. I'll divide it up in, rank and everything, but everyone's doing the same form.
Well, see, I think that's great in an inter-school tournament to do that, because that is an example of where somebody can be a lower rank than someone, and you can say like, hey, they have the best blue belt form in the whole school. Like, I don't care. Yes, you're a 3rd degree black belt, but this brown belt has the best blue belt form in the entire school. And now you got bragging rights to be like, no, I am our school's best at this thing. Right? Yeah. Man, because it's not saying that like I'm so much better than you, multi-world champion. No, it's saying at this thing, how cool is it that I'm the best in the school at this thing? That's awesome. You know,
Right. Right.
they'll remember that forever.
What were some creative fighting divisions that you've seen before? So one for me was Sean Dumlow's tournament, basket tournament, and they do 4-corner sparring. Okay.
Hate that.
And that is wild, and it is fun. It is crazy to watch.
I think for the creative, like fighting divisions, I like the two things that I like are mixed doubles, which I think is kind of fun, right?
Yeah.
But or tag team, which I actually think that if we're gonna do something fun and creative, tag team is the creative one. Because if you were to say, like, all right, we're gonna do mixed doubles, and then Bailey and Katana teamed up, where you go, well, this is
exactly.
This is two best in the world, right?
I think that's why it kind of died out. You know what I mean?
Because that's what would happen.
Yeah, that would happen. Yeah.
It was, yeah. Because then if like, or what more appropriate, which is probably more likely, is if that thing did happen, Morgan and Avery.
Right. Exactly.
And now you're like, well, I mean, yes, obviously, why would they not want to do that? Right? They're going to team up with anybody and do this division. They would want to do it with each other. But now it's like the rest of us are going, well, what the heck are we supposed to do?
Right. And they did that at WKC, you know?
Each of you individually is a cheat code. Now, what the heck is the rest of the world supposed to do? But that's also what makes it fun. Right. I think tag team is really cool because certain guys would get into it and find fun, new, creative ways to tag. Right. But you just have to accept that, like, this is not going to be refereed perfect because some of these guys will have never seen anything like this before. So it's hard when you jump back, tag, and then the other guy, while the other guy's running in and then does a switch round kick. Like, yeah, I had no idea that was even possible. No, I didn't see that because I had no idea that was even a possibility. But it is fun. They do it in WTC, John.
Think about, you know, like when we're sparring and we're doing, come up with drills or even just different scenarios to help our students, you know, like sometimes we'll be like, all right, guys, we're only doing kicks right now. All right, guys, we're only doing hands right now. All right, right now, you have to do a multiple kick and you can follow up. All right, guys, you're only doing defense. What if there was a division where like randomly throughout it like flipped? That's pretty different, right? I mean, that's a lot to keep up with. Or like every 30 seconds it changes, right?
All right, I have one. I cannot take credit for this. Conroy gets all credit for this. This is Mike Conroy. He came up with this, and it was awesome. This is one of my favorite drills to do, which is, all right, I'm going to say go. I'll get my hand out. Before I say go, your leg comes up. There's 3 ways to score. You're kicking. That's all you're doing, right? You can kick them and score. That's way 1. You kick and you push them out of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
That's another way where you could score. Or their foot goes down.
Right.
Now you can score for that. And it is exhausting. Your lower back will be screaming at you. Your legs are tired.
So it must be an upgrade version of knee sparring, because when the first time I went and we did that, we would do knee sparring. And that would be his drill that he did. And so you are putting your knee up, like your chamber up high. You put your hands, your pads over your knee, and you are just trying to knock your opponent down, or make their foot touch the ground. And so you're like working on pushing forward on your balance, everything. You cover your knee.
Yes.
And so it's kind of like an upgraded version. So you must have added all right, go ahead. Let's just do this and make it more like how you would actually be kicking and stuff. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. That's one we do as well. A lot of some of the original games and things I learned were from Conroy, you know, I mean, a lot of drills, all this stuff. So
he is pretty good at coming up with different games and drills like that at a high level. Right. We come up with the ones, you know, that are like really help brown belts. They're like, all right, here's we go. You got to score 2 times. You only have to score once.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, well, now you scored. Now you got to score 3 times, but you still only have to score 1 time. What? I know. And the more you keep winning, the more you get. Those are those ones that we come up with. And he comes up with knee sparring. Who in the world thinks of that stuff?
I know. All right. So creativity leading towards ocean states. All right. So we talked so many different times, and I've said this too, and I'm gonna not call people out, but I'm going to use maybe one person in general, and I don't take it as a hard thing because I'm going to say it in a, well, I'm just going to be honest, right? So there are different ways of when we're talking about creative forms, right? And we're talking about how does a creative form win a grand championship, all right? And that is something that I think is an interesting topic because there's some that have done it, and there's some that can do it, and there's ways that you have to do it. Okay. Here's my thing. And again, people may not agree with me, but I think in the long run, like it's been proven that there's a way to win a creative forms division. Okay. That same way to win that creative forms division is not necessarily going to win you the grand championship.
Yes.
So when you're looking at, in the past, people were like, yeah, but look at Marcel Jones or look at Jeff Doss or whoever else who has done this. One, when Marcel did that years ago, he was going against not just Extreme, he was going against multiple people. Okay.
Everybody. It was
everybody. So it's a little different. Now our overall or grands is just CMX, especially for adults, right? Mostly I'm talking about adults. Juniors, it is a little bit more well-rounded. I mean, we've seen it happen mostly with weapons, but we're talking about forms, open hand forms, because it is more of a drastic difference, right? So there's a way to do the form that people are like, and again, Dawson Holt did an amazing creative form at Competes. He beat Esteban Tremblay, right? In creative though, right? With that form. That same form that beat Esteban is not necessarily going to beat Esteban in the grand when Esteban has no limits, right?
It won't be. It won't.
Yeah.
It can't.
The way that it's done. So the thing that I'm trying to tell people is that you have to change the way you do your form to win the overall. All right. We have to look at, because we're looking at something there. We're going against someone with limits against someone without any limits. Well, it's hard to compare those two, right? But in your mind, you're like, yeah, but he just beat him at this. Yeah, but that was different. He had limits. So how are you going to be actually creative? All right. And this is my big problem with the division was that, and everyone's like, this division was created because for people like to go back and do forms like 1995 or like, well, then why create it then? Why even make it creative?
Why create a form that goes back in the past?
Back, right? It makes no sense, right? Yes. So the idea, I'm fine with limits and rules. I think that's cool. But it can't just be, hey, a creative form should look like this. No, there's got to be ways to move it forward. So if you see, what is it that really pushes people in the extreme side or the musical side? Combos, right? So if you have a creative form that has combos, that has something that's going to surprise someone, whoa, all right, that's a whole nother level, right? Or if you have a move that only you can do, well, there you go. That's going to pop, right? I mean, you look at someone, again, Tyler Weaver has done it in the past, doing big combos. Philip Brumet has done it in the juniors. Avery has done it in the juniors. Won a Warrior Cup with creative form, you know? So I'm not saying
back in time,
but you have to look at, and again, going back in time is one thing. I get it. But you also like for me, when I won my overalls in NBL, it was a open only overall. I wasn't going against traditional. Okay. it was people doing flips, everything, and me just deciding not to, right? Okay. And focusing on my kicks. So that's where I think, yes, kicking needs to continue on and evolve, but also creativity, right? Combinations.
Yes.
Stand out. Don't just say, yeah, well, this is just this, these are the best moves that I can do in creative, and that's it. No, there's always ways to add to it, right? So, Drew, let's see what Drew has to say. I've been watching some of the videos while it's been posted. I would like to see some people go back and look at some of those forms and then incorporate some of those ideas in new ways. Here's the key thing. In new ways.
Exactly right,
'Cause
DDB.
my problem is, yes. And some people say, hey, old school, this and this and that. And it's great, but you also need to add it to what you do. Not just, oh, that was really cool. He did a scissor kick. Okay, that's great. But now what? We've seen that before. We saw it 30 years ago. How are you going to add that scissor kick into a pop jump outside crescent to a split, or a scissor kick switch to a split, which I don't know if anyone's done that before since, and I'm just going to tell you, I'm never going to do it again. But there's things like that, right? Exactly, Drew. Don't just copy them. Take it to the next level.
Well, and that's one of the problems is our sport gets too literal sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when you were saying, like, we want the form to look like this. That is actually why they created the creative form division. It's because, like, we want to see more forms like this. So let's make a division so that we can get forms like this. And you didn't get at all what you were hoping you would get, because you tried to play dictator and say, we want it to look like this. Well, why? You want it to look like something that somebody came up with on their own.
Correct.
And you just love that nostalgia so much. You're like, I just want more of that thing. Give me more of that. That's really what we want.
Here's the deal. When you do that, and here's the thing, make that a standalone division that's not going to go in the grands. You know what I mean? Make a copycat division, or do a musical challenge division, or say, hey, these are the rules for this. We're only doing 80s forms. Make it a fun thing and give a prize for it, right? But don't put it in the grands. That makes no sense, right? Like, again, I'm telling you, I would love to see tournament come back with musical challenge. Musical challenge was so much fun at Super Grands every year. And if you guys don't know, all right, musical challenge was, and we would have 30, 40 people at Super Grands, because back in the day, there was no grands at Super Grands. So this is the only division you got money in, okay? And so people would be like, and everyone could beat against each other, 18, 15, whatever, okay? And you get your order, you get in the middle of the stage, and then the DJ, which that year that I won, or for like 3 years, Mike Belcher was the DJ. Yeah, Mike Belcher was the DJ.
I didn't know he was a DJ. That's cool.
Yeah. And so he would play the song, all right? And you had
he would pick a random song, whatever he felt like.
Yeah. And you didn't know. I mean, they may have had a list, but I mean, of course, there's certain things. And you didn't know. You didn't know. You went right then and started your form, and you had to choreograph it to it on the spot. All right. And I'm telling you, man, it was fun. It was cool. And it got a little kooky later on, where just people just got up there and just did silly stuff, right? And it became more of a dance thing than actual amazing forms. And that was the thing. Like, before, there were people like really hitting the beats, coming up with things, out of nowhere, and it was a lot of fun. But that was something that was cool, and I think having that at a tournament would be fun. Now, again, maybe I'll do it, maybe someone else will, and I think it's okay if more than one person does it.
Yeah, I think that would be entertaining to watch. But that's the thing, is if you're understanding, I think you would get more people getting into it if you were like, hey, this division is only going to exist for this tournament.
Yeah.
Now it's like, well, that's kind of fun. I'd like to do that. What I wouldn't like is to have missed that and go, oh man, that would have been really cool if, right? Yeah. And that's why they'll do it.
Right.
I like how DDB is saying super forms. So at New England Open, Joe Greenhaw came up with a spin the wheel, right? And you'd spin the wheel and you might land on 3 sectional staff.
Right.
And you got to figure that thing out. Have you ever used one before?
Yeah, we've talked about this. I got 2 of them. I have a wooden one and I have a pad one.
We did talk about that before.
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah.
I don't know if like whip chain was on there, but like this division was basically
you might as well put death on there as well. You know, if you put whip
basically
chain,
the Superforms division was like the Rashad Eugene division. It was like
right.
he probably does that in training. Like, what am I gonna do today? Let's see.
I mean, dude, that's what I do. That's what I do daily with my forms, so I understand. Just like, all right, what are we doing?
I was talking with Lauren Carney one time, and she was like, I think to be really great at martial arts competition, you have to have a little bit of ADD in you, right? If you're too focused on what you're training, now the other parts get left. So you have to be like, today I'm going to do hook kicks. All right, now I'm going to do Japanese kata. I'm like, I don't agree with this, but I see what you're going.
Yeah. Well, it's true though. I agree. Doing that's helped me a lot. So I definitely agree. All right. Back to what we were talking about with the creativity. Again, what are some things like, again, I can't just make up a form right now for everyone in words or even on here, because there are people who are like, whoa, all right. But think of, it's not just, here's another thing. I've been watching some Jimmy Pham, right? A lot lately. And Drew was talking about some of this, right? Something that Jimmy does, and actually a lot of us did back then in our forms, but a lot of us don't do it now. He would do an opening sequence, but his second sequence would be almost all to the back corner. And not meaning the only thing you do to the back corner is a round-out flash. No, he would do that later on. But he would do hand combos, kick combos, everything to the back. And he would make a whole crisscross of his form. And a lot of us did that back then, And there was some
he would also go like horizontal sometimes.
Yeah. And so changing the framework of the form is one, right? Do you have to start at the back? Here's another idea. I love doing that, starting the front, and maybe do your whole thing backwards, maybe some more knee combinations, there's a lot of different things that we can do there, right? But again, what we're talking about here, we're getting back to kind of, there is that's creative, but how are we going to make these creative forms beat the extreme? And so it's making clean techniques, but make them loop like combos together, bigger combos, and then with maybe a twist that's something different that you haven't seen before.
Well, when you mentioned Marcel earlier, and I remember talking to him, and he kind of created his style and way of doing creative forms, right? I remember when the creative forms division came out, what he said is, he goes, dude, it's going to be a battle for the air. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is creative. It's not extreme. And he goes, no. This is going to be a battle for hang time.
Yep.
And I'm like,
and it was.
Yeah. And he did. And he created a few moves that we were doing because of that was his mindset, right? So like the rest of the world, remember when everybody would just jump up and hold and then do like a round kick at the top?
Yeah.
That's him, right? It's because
I'm not gonna say yeah. I don't know if he was the first one to do that, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So, but when I was talking to him, and he goes, "What's the point of me doing like my round off flash combo in the grands if I'm going against Toradas, right? Like if he's doing 5, I can't do that. So if I go out there and do a round off flash, like that's going to mean nothing. Right? Yeah. If I go out and do my twist combo, and Matt Emig is out here doing his, like my twist combo is not going to be like his. So he goes, so me actually doing my most extreme stuff, this is Marcel saying this, he goes, is actually working to my detriment. So I need to find out what's best with my skill set so that I can go against my opponent. But he first identified what his opponent's skill set was. And then he was like, I need to change. That's no different than fighting. This is no different than fighting, right?
Exactly. Well, and that's the same thing with me. It's like, hey, my confidence went in with no one's going to outkick me, But when I'm in a division with me and Steve Horse, then I have to be different, and not meaning we're just going to go and kick battle. We're going to do different types of kicks. I'm going to do one that's going to be highlight one thing. He's going to do one that highlights something else, and we did two completely different forms,
Right.
I think there was a video last year or 2 years ago that Compete put out, and we were in the same division. And you look at both of our forms and they're like completely different, but we're the kickers of the division, right? And we didn't just say, well, I'm going to do a better kick combo than you. You're going to, or I'm going to stick my side kick higher than you, or this or that, or I'm going to do, we still had our own style within our kicking, right? And then you also add your jump kicks and stuff too that you need to put in there. So,
well, that's a great point, because if you look at that and go, well, Steve Horse is not the best kicker in like forms history. It's probably not in the top 3, right? But if you stick, but you could argue. I know. And now that I said that out loud, I'm like, you could argue. I don't know, right? But if you stick your high round kick or high side kick and hold, and people goes, whoa. But if Steve sticks his upper body doesn't move, and he kicks vertical.
It's insane.
And he's got this ankle mobility.
Yeah.
To where, like, most people, when they pull their toes back for a side kick, there's a certain level that stops at a certain point. He's got such great ankle mobility, which nobody talks about, right? It comes back so far to where the heel is definitely sticking out and pointing.
Yeah.
So now you're like, well, I can't do that thing because if I stick, it's going to be compared to his. So now you got to change. Right. So let's change.
Yeah.
But I think also derived from when you were talking about tournaments too.
I'll share something. I was never, especially back then when we were all competing.
Yeah, let me hear.
Biting was a thing that was like we took very serious, right? Okay.
Yes.
You did not take something from someone.
Steal someone else's combos or moves.
There's things like that, right? And now if you had to make it your own. You had to go the next level to level it up. And for a long time I did the front kick and hold and looked at my watch, and then I did the round kick out of that, right?
Correct.
And that was kind of my thing. And then I remember Diamond's Tooth. I'm thinking it was 2004. And Steve does his form, and he does that, and then he does it slow to the side kick, and I stood up, and I was pissed, right? I was like,
I know
which one. Move, and then kind
made
of
it better
with his own, and I'm just like, and then I'm mad because it was really legit and it was cool and it got a big pop, right? And it was great, and so I'm just like, what the heck, man? So that was when, after that, I went back and did the leg hold in the swing. That was before Chloe did it, right? And even Nikki Stanley did it later on as well. And that I was just like, all right, I got to do something to level up, right? And so we were having our own little battle, just because that's just what we do, And sometimes you have divisions at that point where just, yes, you want to win, but you also have to push yourself to the next level too, right?
But this again goes back to episode 1, right? When we talked about people were doing, I'm just going to say it quickly, people were doing Taekwondo black belts competing with Japanese forms just because they thought that's what was going to win. And so it's the same thing. Competitors are doing this in their forms because they think that's what's going to win.
Yeah.
Be a creative martial arts competitor.
Yeah.
Have something in you. I think one of the most creative individuals that we've had as a competitor is Kim Do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kim Do, it was to enter into like, what would make you think that, right?
Right.
The guy would just do like a standing 1990, like in your form. Case really doesn't know what I'm talking about. All right. Like you go into a it's a breakdancing move. You go into a handstand and then you pull one hand back and you spin on a single hand. All right. The bananas.
So he tried to do that. I don't know. I mean, he used to hold it at the end of his form when he was a junior and wait for them to like tell him to put it down. And like his music would end and he would just hold it. It was crazy.
That's cool.
Now he probably did do that one time to wait for a score. You're probably right. But yeah, I mean, Kim was just amazing, right? And someone who, again, was very acrobatic, but he also could kick. I mean, we're talking about
Very well.
very well, and you're talking about his form that he did as a junior. You know, it was same music that John Fournette used. You know, but he leveled that form up. You know, and so a lot of people grew up only knowing what his version looked like. You know, so it's wild. It's wild, man, with the sparkly uniform too. The sequence uniform.
Yes. But even when you were talking about, like, you know, where do you start your form? I one time watched Kim when there's the ring, the
Yeah.
judges call him, and then they're all going like this.
Oh
Where
yeah.
the heck is he? And he flips over from behind them
Yep.
into the ring.
Yeah.
And the only problem was nobody knew it was going to happen until it happened, so they couldn't truly appreciate this
Correct.
thing that's
Correct.
about to take place.
Correct.
So it
Yeah.
was
I mean,
really
dude, I
cool.
mean, we were just all trying to do different things. Again, I mean,
Yeah.
the one time, man, there's so many. Quebec Open 2001. I'm hiding under the tables, and until they played my music, I'm trying to get Matt Emming to give him the cue to play the music, and I'm under there, and I'm getting all pumped up, and the music plays, and I think I was walking like Ain't Nothing But a G Thing or something like that, and I rose up from the tables and turned around and then jumped up on the stage. And this is just regular division. And dude, that was fun. Right. And one time I hid behind the big speaker at Warrior Cup. This was in 2001. Yeah. So they had the speakers on the stage, right? And I was hiding behind it. And then I creeped behind it, out of it. And I did the Scott Hall, like, again, this is a wrestling thing. And I walked like this before I like walked in. That was kind of crazy, right? And that was fun. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that Daryl Lewis and myself would do just to make each other laugh, right? And a lot of us. Vince Johnson's another great example of that.
Yes.
Oh my God, he would do a lot of crazy things like that. Mike Testa would be like that. A lot of us would do that. I was watching I found a video of me doing a tricking tournament in 2009 and posted a lot of the videos from it. And Vince was one of the judges, and he just kept the whole time was like laughing, like pointing at me in the middle of it, like in a good way, like, dude, I remember when you used to do that, or, oh, that was sick. You know, like that was what was fun about tournaments like that, because the judges would like be like, oh, you know, that's what's fun about tricking tournaments, right? Is that
What's going to go there?
Yeah, is that there's professionalism, but there's still, hey, I'm not gonna act like that wasn't cool. All right.
Yeah. It's like
So
judging the dunk contest. Sometimes they even go, oh man.
Yeah.
Right?
exactly.
So tricking. That was one thing I was really thinking about here when you're talking about, like, originally this conversation stemmed from how can tournaments be creative as well? And I think if there's a way to have a gathering, a trick gathering, which is basically like a trick competition type of
Yeah.
thing, right? If you could have that at your event, that's pretty freaking cool. Because it kind of started, it did start from
Right.
karate tournaments, right? And
is,
Charlie
man.
Lee was pretty innovative with that. And he had the competitions in the finals. They were pretty freaking awesome when he did. And the best guys wanted to do it. That's really what.
And then it got to the point where people just went there as like a gathering, and there would be more videos just in the other room, and they would find like an empty ballroom,
ballroom, the hallway.
It was wild, man. It was like on the East Coast. All right, I know it sounds weird, but really, like back then, the two tricking events you wanted to go to was Luke Kick's camp and World Series of Martial Arts. Like, because that was where everyone was at, right? Everyone would go there and just hang out. And I mean, I know so many people that just went there, did not compete, and just came to trick and put out footage. You know,
and that's the thing. If you say
Bylang.
Bylang, yes. Yeah. If you say it to people out loud, like you're a black belt, you're a highly skilled martial artist, you're a competitor. Like, oh, you're going to World Series of Martial Arts? Like, what are you competing in? I'm not. What do you mean you're not? Like, I'm just gonna go hang out. Like, what? You're gonna do what? And that's in their head, like they can't understand that. But if you say it a
I
different way,
didn't understand it. Honestly, for me, I still didn't understand it. I remember people coming to me and being, I'm like, "Yo, where you competing tomorrow?" And they were like, "Oh no, I was injured." I'm like, "You're not injured now. I just saw you like tricking." Yeah, well, I didn't have enough time to make up my forms. Like, so what? You're here doing stuff. Get out there and do it. Like, I don't make up
yeah,
my forms.
and that's my mindset.
Yeah,
That
it's like,
is.
yeah,
But if you say it, if you think about it differently, be like, no, I'm in love with doing this thing, and I have a chance to go where all the best people in the world are going to do that thing, and then we all get to do it together for an entire weekend. Like, oh, well, I guess when you say it differently, you say it like that, right?
I just don't even notice it as much as I used to.
I don't think it's there.
Maybe it's because I'm older. You know what I mean? I mean,
No, I
I'm sure.
really don't think it's there because okay, it's either not there, but I can tell you 100% if it is not to the level of where it was
Right. No.
before because what happened is the gatherings became so big and so popular that they were like,
It's a separate thing.
we're actually almost as big as this freaking karate tournament, right?
Well, I mean, here's one thing. This is what's sad. It's like, and I don't know if this has really been talked about, but I know people that have contracts, you know, with adrenaline, and it says in there you're not allowed to compete in NASCA. So there's that, you know. So if you are a tricker, if you are a weapons competitor, it's, you know, so they are really, I mean, and honestly, like 75 to 80% of the trickers now, and even especially the high level ones, have never been to a sport karate event or did not come out of sport karate. So it's completely different, you know, like, and one of the things I remember when we had Jefferson on, and at that point, when him and I were tricking 2009, 2000, you know, whatever, we still wore gi pants, you know, karate pants to you know, like it was just getting out to where like, then I became like the weird guy wearing gi pants at the,
because you're out there wearing karate pants. Everybody else is out there.
I haven't seen anyone wear, you know, unless maybe some of the Korean guys that, you know, the Korean Tiger guys, you know,
they all wear those Adidas warm-ups with the little ankle things.
Yeah.
So I think it's sad that tricking is really kind of taken off into a whole nother animal, and martial arts tournaments are over here, and there just isn't any working together with both. Right. I think
so.
It would be cool in a way. I don't know how to do it because the tricking
is something that happened and then it just didn't last, and it was the best setup to me. And it was called Creative Clash. All right. And so some of the videos, again, I've been putting out were from the first Creative Clash. And Emerson Doyle, this was in DC area, and he had Creative Clash, and he had three basic divisions, right? Sport karate, and everything was 4 rounds. And you were pretty much doing like sections. Okay. So it would be my section versus yours, but it would be 4 rounds. So I'd have to come up with 4 sections. It may be a full section. It may be just, hey, a standing kick combo. It may be whatever, right? And you go in order, and we just keep looping like a tricking line. All right, that was the first round. All right, they got this down. Boom. And the judges are scoring, and they overall pick a winner based on that. Then we do the same thing with freestyle, which freestyle would be your basic tricking competition, right? Instead of the head-to-head battles, this is the same type thing, kind of like the way it would be at Charlie Lee, right? In World Series, right? Then you have strictly kicks. So strictly kicks was your kick tricking. Everything had to end with a kick. Everyone, you know, you could go upside down, but you want to see the jump spinning kicks, the tricks with the kicks. If you did so
if you did a triple cork,
right? No, you need to have a kick at the end. Everything has to do that. So those are the 3 main ones. They had the female division as well. They had a highest kick competition, was just really fun, right? So you had those big 5 divisions, right? And I'll tell you, man, the battles were a lot of fun. Everything was just wild. The last year they did it, okay,
Yeah, let me hear this.
They switched it up and they went to head to head. So brackets around. So kind of like battling back and forth. Okay. But still the same idea of 4 rounds. So um, they changed the rules a little bit, but it was insane. You know, and they had the sport variety division. They had the creative, you know, still all those same things. They just changed the way of doing it as far as more bracket style. So you were exhausted by the time. I remember I made it to the finals and I was done, and I shouldn't even been competing. I had a torn hamstring, but I just couldn't. I couldn't not do it because the Luke Hicks camp came out. All the West Coast guys came out there, and it was just a lot of fun.
How are you doing anything with a torn hamstring?
Dude, I had that hamstring messed up for like 2 years.
Was it your kicking? Was it your? Well, no, you don't have a kicking leg.
It was it was my kicking leg. It was my right leg. Yeah, but
So
the thing is,
your right hamstring. So that
Yeah,
actually
but-
makes it more likely then. All right.
yeah, but you know what's funny? I look back at that time, and those are some of my best kicks ever that I look back at, and it hurt to kick so bad, but it was just one of those things that, like, looking back, like, dang, that was some good kicking. But it hurt every time. And I remember right before that Super Grands that year in 2011. So I'd had this torn hamstring since Kumite Classic. And I messed it up that week. And then I went to the Creative Clash and did that. And it was just killing me. And then I had that all the way until a month before Super Grands 2011. I'm like, wow, I think it's finally healed. Like it doesn't hurt anymore. This is a great first division. What do? Boom, and pop it again. Yeah, it's because of my flexibility. I don't tear it from like in the bulk of the muscle. I do it more when the attachment to the ligament.
Oh,
Yeah, so all the way up to like my glute. So it kills, but it's just one of those things that, you know, and then that's one of the things that Ross has helped me with a lot over the past 4 years is treating those issues. So it's been cool. All right. This has been a fun episode. We've all over the place. One comment, one thing that you and I talked about, or I mentioned it. What is one tournament? What's a win that maybe some of you guys have that if we say it to competitors now, they'd be like, what is that? That's not a big win. Or they don't understand how big of a tournament that was back then, right? Like a great example would be Long Beach Internationals, right?
yeah.
All right. It kind of exists, but it doesn't, and even it hasn't been the same since the 90s, right? As far as the legacy of it, right? I know it does exist, but winning it now is not the same as winning it back in the day, right? So what is a tournament? Are there some tournaments like that you have on your record? They're like, dang. I mean, in a lot of ways, we mentioned it almost every show. Super Grands is one of those now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Super Grands is definitely one of those.
Well, here's the other thing.
A lot of NBL tournaments that were like that, right?
Well, I think it's gonna be up there with Super Grands because I think 6 years without the Irish Open.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible
Grands,
that
Irish
it's
Open.
just over, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's one of them.
Gators is a good one, Sam. You're right.
Gators is a good one, but even sometimes a tournament that was just like, it's all right, you know. But when you competed, it was something, or when you competed, it was all right, and then now it's like one of the biggest tournaments in the world, and you're like, wait a minute, you won the what? Right? So like,
that's true.
When I was a junior, it was 96. I took first place at AKA Grand Nationals, right? We were at a gym. And the only person that anybody knew who was there was Mike Chat because AKA Mike Chat, right? Yeah. Everybody else was at the Empire State Nationals, right? And so, and we were just, I mean, honestly, I don't think there was 200 competitors there. I don't, right? That's how small that thing was. So That's one where you can look at it and go, "You did what?"
Right. Yeah.
Context.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, winning Quebec in 2001 was a big deal, but it wasn't known at that level. You know, I mean, now again, I'm going against I'm going against Wayne Dalglish, Will Valentine, Matt Emmett. You know, I'm going against all the same people. It just wasn't a NASCAR rated event then, right?
Yeah.
And there was more people from Canada, Venezuela, internationally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't anything. It wasn't NBL. It was just
Wasn't?
yeah. No. It was that close to being NBL. Well, yeah. All right, so there's that one. One for me, I would say, is Junri International. So I forgot. I forgot about it, and I saw the trophy the other day when I was walking. I'm like, oh dang, man, that's one. That's kind of what made me spark. Like, that's one that's like, I mean, that was the last one. The one that I won was the last one they had, and it was 98. It was insane. Like, it was a huge tournament. And this literally was the best NBL competitors versus the best NASCAR competitors, all in the same tournament. Forms, weapons, fight, I mean, everything. Like, and at that tournament each year, you had people that, again, Harry Carter is a great fighter.
Yes.
But we never saw Harry Carter beat Jody Tension at a NASCAR tournament, but he did at Junri. You know what I mean? Like, it's just you know, like,
things. Say that out loud. That's the answer to a trivia question. Which one of these beat Johnny Tension? Right?
Yeah.
And you would never pick Harry Carter.
Same thing with, like, you know, like Sean Elliott killed it he won 2 times the grand at Junri Internationals, you know, like killing it, you know, beating Jerry Fontenez, beating people like that, right? And I mean, just wild the way that you know, just the people that were there. You had some of the best from Texas, some of the best from, like, it wasn't just the DC area, you know, because that was a big tournament for the DC area, you know. And I just remember that year was that tournament, and then that was the first year I think that Sidekick International happened as well, and that was a big tournament. That was John Chung's tournament, and that was when, you know, Jungle Care and everything was happening. So that was a huge deal, right? Winning that tournament was a big deal. That now you'd be like, okay, you know, it's not at the same level it used to be, or, you know, his World Cup or even his Sidekick,
right?
But it was, right. So yeah,
right. The other one that DDB is saying here is New England Open. I think the other ones that jump to mind are New England Open and like World Series of Martial Arts or Charlie Lee Nationals. Like,
World Series is definitely that. I mean, that's a crazy one. New England Open, and again, but New England Open goes way back. New England Open wasn't just Joe Greenhall's tournament. It was Rich Batista's tournament.
Yes.
Right? And probably before that too, right? Probably his instructor or something. I don't know, but it was been around for a long time.
I don't know whoever had it before Rich Batista, but Rich Batista I think Joe's first year was 2007.
Right.
With that tournament. And it was a banger of a first year. When he came out with that, we're like, what? That's what this tournament's going to be? And then the very next year, he made sure all the Hungarians got there. I don't know how he made sure, but they were there, right? And you're like, this is what this tournament is now. And then there was the super forms, and then there was the super fights, and then there was we're gonna have matted rings, and then it just kept going like this. So it was like, oh my gosh. But we forget about, like what you just said, we have a huge history with this tournament because of because that's when it was in Boston. Right?
In Boston, in Boston.
Not Marlboro.
Competing on the ice rink. Whew.
I was never there in Boston.
Yeah.
I do not know anything about
94, 95, man. Whew. That was one of those times where I just remember John, like, I had a really good runoff. Like, I think Kingston and I tied for first. Okay. And John's like, all right, this is the one. You're going to do it. I'm like, sitting there like, really? I'm going to do this? Didn't pull it off, man. But like, it felt like, okay, I'm right there, you know? I mean, I was 11, you know, I mean, and going against
How
a 17-year-old, you know what I mean? Going against a 17-year-old, you know?
And
It's
then
nuts.
John Valera's like, this is it. This is
Yeah.
the one.
Yeah.
You're gonna beat him now. What?
Yeah.
That's just bananas to think about. Wow, that's cool.
I know.
Or how about other tournaments that were really good tournaments? Cactus Classic was a really good tournament.
That was one I've never been to. That was one. Yeah, that's
I
crazy.
never did that.
Cactus
What about
Classic.
Mile High? Did you ever do Mile High Classic?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, that was where the banquet was the first year,
Yeah.
first 2 years I was on the circuit. Yeah, I did that one.
And what was
One,
the tournament in Vegas?
3 or 4 times.
Well,
All
there's
right,
been
so
lots of tournaments in Vegas.
yeah, so USA Internationals, the Winter Nationals was the winter one that was
That's the one I
NASCA,
was thinking of.
and then the USA Internationals was the summer one, which was NBL, which is crazy, right? And so that tournament still exists. That tournament still exists right now. You can go to that. It's an IMAC tournament.
Wait a minute. Time out.
you also
Wait,
have
we gotta,
Las
we need
Vegas
to go.
Legacy. What?
You skipped over something. Let's go back and talk about that. Wait a second. The same tournament
Same
with
same promoter. Yeah.
same promoter, everything goes. I'm going to host a NASCA tournament, and it's going to be in this winter, right? And
Yeah, it
then
was-
whatever time of year. And then,
Sometimes
hey,
it was January, sometimes it was in November.
I'm also going to host an NBL tournament, and it's going to be 6 months
July.
later.
June or July. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What? Who
It is.
else is not taking notes right now? Why
Right.
not? Why? Because I did see like there was other years where there was the spring and the fall Battle of Atlanta. So in one year they had two, but that was the same circuit.
Yeah.
We're talking about something different. We're talking about like if you were a Pro Mac tournament, and then you're also a USA Sport Karate tournament.
Could happen.
That's the thing.
I've actually had conversations about this. So, yeah,
So I think we need another NBL. Not maybe it's not NBL specifically, but I wouldn't hate it if it was. Right?
right.
Because when we have both, let's just look at the time. Because what was the last 2014?
2019 was the last year it
2018?
was around, but let's just say
Let's just say 2017.
2014, 2015, I would say would be the last
Big one.
solid time. Yeah.
All right. Now let's look on the other side of the coin. Let's look at the NASCA at that time. Pretty awesome competition all around, right? All the tournaments were thriving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now there is no
Well-
such thing as I think they were, all right? I should say it like this. Competition was thriving at all the events. Now, and you can't say there's too much saturation because we had two different leagues, almost twice as many tournaments. Now we're killing it. But when it starts to die, now so does innovation. Now so does competition. And so there just isn't that much anymore. You know what I mean?
But I feel like we go back to what we said in the beginning was there's a lot of tournaments right now, man. There's a lot.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we have one powerhouse.
Yeah.
As far as a circuit.
Right.
There was guys who really thought they were like, there's no point in me doing NASCA. All right.
Yeah.
I got this NBL thing. What would be the point? Right. You think you are all the best competitors? I would actually beg to differ. Right. And so you could have had the conversation.
Yeah. And honestly, you still have competitors like that in schools like that. And you know what they do? They do the international stuff. Like you see, like, Mike Tobin's group from Utah doing WKU, right? And saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. Or doing the league, right, out there. You have Alchemy, who every year, last year they're at WKC. This year they're doing, they're going to Italy for Waco. You have big powerhouse teams like that, right? So, yeah, it's interesting, man, on how that goes. I mean, we'll see how it works. What happens with all this going on right now? Competition creates innovation. The regional leagues are pushing the innovation. Yes. And you know what? Right now, let's just see. Everything's up in the air right now. I can't wait for Ocean State to see where everybody's at. Hoping that there's no drama, but there's forward progress. with the league, and maybe we will see some. Who knows?
That's what they got to figure out right now is because, all right, as it sits today, this year, and probably next, it's not a question. NASCAR is the best circuit. But like you said, all the other tournaments are getting better and everybody's thriving and everybody wants to keep doing them. Maybe get your stuff together, NASCAR.
Well, I think that's where they're trying. So we'll see which way. And if there's like I said, like again, everyone, when you have something where it becomes 2 or 1 or whatnot, that makes it where people are really starting to listen to the competitor because you know what? They're going to they got to push that innovation, and they got to do what's right for the customer. So.
Right.
All right, man. Well, we will see everybody. I'm excited. I'm heading Thursday morning to Ocean States, and Shelly and I are heading out there. And my mom's going to be out there too, hanging out, getting to see everyone from Team Elite and CJB. And I'm excited. I'll be going to the Hall of Fame for the tournament, but I'm also excited to be there as part of Revolution, first event with all the team from Europe out there. Lots of private lessons, lots of fun, and competing, and it's just going to be great, man.
Do you have any open spots for lessons?
One open spot for Thursday.
When is it? Put it out there. Someone
Thursday.
wants it.
Yeah, open
What
spot, 6:30 p.m. Actually, no, 6 o'clock p.m. There we go. On
6 o'clock.
Thursday.
How early do you start doing lessons at tournaments like that?
Right now I have 2 o'clock as my earliest. So.
Oh, like when you get there. But like oh man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, we're
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See you next week.